the concept of teenagers, which is quite a new concept in the 1950s. And I think this goes into the thing that this is a film, it's made in the 1950s, it's got aliens and spaceships, and it's 3D, which we'll get to in a minute. But it is appealing to the teenage audience to quite a large degree, do you think? And just to put all of that into context, we are in 1953. The Wild Ones is coming out that year. We've got Rebel Without a Cause in another couple of years. The Beat Generation is already, going. Off the Road comes out in 1957, but those experiences are happening. The Beat Generation is out there. We're not quite at the 60s, but this whole kind of teenage culture has developed in the 1950s. So yes, it's got these beautiful kind of poetic Bradbury bits, but then it's got a bug-eyed alien, and it's got a beautiful woman in, where did they get that dress? Running across the
Apparently
alien.
It's her clothes. Apparently she has that in her closet.
Yeah.
So it's her.
Sometimes when you're out in small town America in the middle of the desert, you need a really fantastic dress like that. So she's waiting for that day that will come out. But this idea of post-war boom and affluence, and teenagers are having more time and money, and also time that they don't have to just go out and work and become adults.
Well, it's a big part of the film industry at this point. As the studios are dying, they lose their daily audience of adult customers in the big cities. TV is on the rise. And so the people who go to the movies change. Adults. So the post-war adult generation is busy buying refrigerators and getting mortgages and having babies. They start staying home. But their kids become the target market. Their kids become the ones with the spending money who are willing to go and need a place to go to get away from the parents, right? So movie theaters become a center of teenage culture, and teenage culture is a major market force at this time. And this is kind of just before rock and roll really goes mainstream. You look at Rebel Without a Cause as a film like that. It's all about James Dean and the teens, but the music is kind of jazz and big band. It's like just before that happens, there is this gathering together of, kids looking for something to do. And one thing to do is to go to exploitation movies like Buona Devil, which was an independent film, a terrible film, made on no budget at all, but made in 3D the year before it came from outer space, and was a tremendous hit. It cleaned up, and it cleaned up by playing to this teenage audience. So films like Creature of the Black Lagoon and It Came from Outer Space it's an established studio trying to reach that market. And they're reaching that market by emulating these exploitation films. And one thing about an exploitation film is obviously it's got the advertising can sell big moments that may or may not be important to the film, right? It's all about opening weekend. It's all about advertising, the sizzle in the film, and then making money on opening weekend, and then people know it's trash and it falls off in box office, which is exactly what It Came from Outer Space did. So in a way, they got what they wanted. But the bug-eyed alien then becomes an attraction for an audience who's not going to really watch the film. So these films they're fascinating because they're not really designed to be absorbing emotional experiences. They're designed to also be made fun of, and they don't take themselves very seriously. So opening the door and seeing the kid with the helmet, or the other scare when it's a Joshua tree.
A tree.
Yeah, the tree. It's a tree. Those are like designed to be laugh moments. I suspect that going so far with this alien design is like that as well. Like it is less concerned with scaring the pants off the audience than giving something that they could look up after they're mashing in the seats. They want to look up and see something silly, and then go back to their date. And the film, The film actually is a transitional film. It's not fully devoted to that, which is why it's got this great poetry in it, I think.
So Elvis comes out with his hit in 1954, which obviously will take a little time to spread across America. But it's really interesting what you said about the music. So, yeah, we don't have that yet. It's not, I mean, obviously, black culture in America has rock and roll. It's just not gone mainstream yet.
Exactly. Yeah. It's right on, it's one of the movies right on the edge, which may be why also it doesn't have teenage characters.